Hello, for this contribution to Pooka's Pageant, this section is entitled A Tide of Words. I'm going to read you a selection of poems that I've written over the years with an oceanic theme linked to the mythology and legends and so forth of the ocean waves. Some of them will come from this book, Bard Song, which I wrote a few years ago. Some from this, Moon Poets, which is an anthology. There's lots of poems by various other people like Lorna Smithers, who's a fellow devotee of Gwyn ap Neath, Romney Rivers, Beverly Price, friend of mine who lives in Ipswich, Tiffany Cheney and various others, and from a poem I wrote for this collection, 4 Fathom 5, which is put together by Galina Kraskova and includes a selection of poems and articles and so on by all sorts of different people, one of which is mine. So we'll start with a Norse poem in a metre called Drottningkveit, which was a sort of a lordly metre used for royal events, for entertaining the terribly posh members of ancient Norse society, and frequently dealt with myths and legends put into poetic form, probably sung, but rest assured I am not going to attempt to sing this. So this particular sample of Drottningkveit is called The Fishing Expedition and is based upon a myth about Thor, who goes out fishing and collects something rather unexpected in the depths of the wave. Hymir's boy manned the oars, over fish beds frozen. Green mountains rose and dropped. Deadly was Ron's wrath then. Yet still the colt thrust forth. Fear stilled great Hymir's heart. Giants' pleas shatter, fall frigid on Thor's false ears. Anchor weighed, boyish mirth marks the deckhand divine. Scant the bait, small the hook. Hymir's haul limp, lifeless. Grand the hook, ox head bait, blood is the brine, boy waits, sea writhes, roils, serpent coils, comes the Midgard monster. Hell's worm howls, fang swords glint, grab the artful angler. Ducking, boy heaves the catch, clutches deck, paw perches, muscles strain, swell and bulge. Boyish guise shed. Struggling, Redbeard's rage breaks the hull, huge feet firm on sea bed. Quaking, Hymir wades through foul flood, Njord watches, waits, earth shudders as the snake squirms, bile boils the oceans. Hand of Asgard's hero, hammer holds, arcs sky high. Roars the ancient serpent, sunless eyes dreading death. Thunder brews but slowly, Quicksilver quitters blade before the hammer falls. Fearful Hymir hacks free the world-destroying beast, beneath the tide turns tail. Thor's blow lands on giant's jaw, who sinks to snake's lair. Thwarted, the angler wades, wide oceans overcast. Hammer ploughing trench deep, ditches, fatal furrows. Sea beasts' nightmares fester, fill the deep, doom to man. Deep thinking Thor waits still, sure to slay the reptile. Okay. Which, if you were unfamiliar with that one, he disguises himself as a boy to hitch a lift on a boat being sailed out by Hymir, and only reveals his true nature when he manages to haul aboard the Midgard serpent that's so vast it wraps around the entire planet and squeezes it, causing earthquakes and tidal waves and all sorts of things. This second poem is one some of you will have heard before, because I tend to do both this and the prose story version on a fairly regular basis because I like the story, essentially. It's a tale from Inuit mythology of how the maiden Setka, the dog Setka, I should say, a snow dog, a husky, serves its mistress Sedna, and how she goes from just being an ordinary human girl to becoming the goddess of the ocean wave after she is tricked into marrying a birdman. She doesn't realise he's a birdman at the time, but she's just this handsome man she agrees to marry, and only finds out later he's half human, half bird, and the biggest slob in the universe. And her father does something pretty dreadful to save his own life. And as a result, Setna becomes a goddess and remains so to this day. So the poem is called Setka Waits. And the meter is one of my own invention, rather than a traditional Inuit meter or anything like that. Setka waits upon the shore. Ice-blue eyes embrace the joyless sea, whence resounds his lady's roar. He remembers that dire day, the coming of the king, father's glee at daughter's joy, at love play. Setka casts thought back on waves as Umiak slid sleekly to Groom's Isle, but found no lords, merely knaves. Stench recalled from muzzles store, foreshadow of unravelling guile, maidens' vows revoked, sans thaw. Setka shivers, recalls rage, shrieking birdmen conjuring storm winds to blow back their queen to cage. Father, fearful, casts his pearl to frozen seas. Decency rescinds, last bonds sliced. Blood in seas swirl. Setka dived to save, but sank. Amidst fingers forming behemoths, ocean's maid swept him to bank. Safe on shore, vengeance called pack. Old man's blood debt filling the dog's troughs. Sea goddess sated, sinks back. Setka guards the ocean edge, where the fingerless maiden he meets, weed clogging her hair, his pledge to comb what she cannot reach, warming the whale mother whose cold teats suckle seals on Arctic beach. It's a grim tale of daughter side. I was going to say fratricide, but that's killing your brother. I'm not sure what the official term is for killing your own children. But yes, the father tries to murder his daughter to escape the wrath of the birdmen and throws her overboard and hacks her fingers off as she's clinging onto the side of the boat. It's all a bit grim. This third one, there's 5 of these poems altogether if you're wondering. The third one is a poem dedicated to Nehelenia, who is a goddess revered, it would seem, by Germanic tribes, by Celtic tribes, and by the Romans as well, so by all and sundry, as being the goddess of either the North Sea itself or at the very least trade upon the North Sea. She certainly has a role as a patroness of trade and the ships, merchant ships going back and forth, but probably of the ocean itself, more than likely. And so this is a testament to Nehelenia. Mistress of the northern seas, take ease on your driftwood throne. Hull groans, gulls bear merchants' pleas, that sweet breeze steer ocean's throne. Come the wild and baying hound, beach-bound the grey grave guard laps, salt-strewn paps by shark home sound. Man meat drowned in sea trolls' traps. Bury their bones in sea-made sands, in land under wave they rest, sailor's nest, till in seal's band they form her hand, sea-dog zest. Apples red from western isle beguile waves with russet hues, sun's blood imbues crested mile, life's dial fades, pays tidal dues. Shoreside she stands, harbour's dame, horizon's aim, boat bow taut, travel fraught, oceans ne'er tame. Such a game, adventure wrought. Apples are a traditional offering to Nehelenia, I should say, and those of you who are familiar with Scottish folklore will know that land under wave appears there as the land of the undersea people, the mermaids and the fish people and so on, as well as this reference here. So it's sort of a blending of elements there from different sources. This one I've recorded previously, so some of you will have heard this before. This is a meter from it's Greek, Romano-Greek meter, so it's a Romano-Greek poem. The particular meter is called the Lesser Asclepiad. And the subject matter of the poem, which is the poem is called Driftwood, but the subject matter is a meeting on a beach with well, who is it with? That's the question. It could be various different people, but the myth on which the poem is drawn reverts back, or refers back to the tale of Poseidon, who fell in love with Nerites. And Nerites was a handsome young man, beloved of Poseidon, and eventually, as so often happens in Greek myth, he is transformed into a creature. He is transformed into a sea snail. But there's also mention here of Proteus, and Proteus was the shape-shifting sea god, again beloved of Poseidon, who was the seal herder. So just as you have a shepherd, a sheep herder, or a goat herder on land, so he herds the seals at sea and looks after the seals. So quite who it is that's in this story is well, up to you, the listener, to decide. But Driftwood. Sea air heals, fills lungs ozone rich and fresh with hope. So profound it pulls me far from this place, in search, solace sought on this lonely shore as waves sand stroke. Ancient beats, such symphony as was heard in Greece. Far Poseidon sang melodies for wading youths. Brine swirls, soaking calves, ease brought as old bones flex strength. Time once ice stiff, melts away in warm ocean tides. Age-old fears dissipate, reflected, weakened, solved. Deep dream tides ebb and flow, sea currents raise lost needs. He moves, easeful, on green-grey rips, swims to surface. Proteus strives in the breeze, warming on boulders beached. We eye each other, gaze sidelong as Apollo holds two souls in his golden aegis. Chance before me, too late, I turn, but bare stone shelf is bleak display. The bold seal herder dives. He is gone. My mistake. Day slowly drags. Sun fades along with my scant hopes. Heat fails to touch ash future. Sadness drowns all gains. Harpy doubts snatch at joy, fouling this blind man's mind. Fierce light may not reveal change, yet soft moon loves shows. Saline darkening, seal hide ripples, water breaks. Night reigns. Heat stirs his veins to pulse. Lips open wide, he smiles. My lips wet, part, respond with sleeper's hope. Need grows, tasting of seaside holidays, salt sweet beneath the sun, where seas hide hungers rising at moontide, to walk upon the beaches where sailors dream. Vast Poseidon, Nerites' soft lips recalls, so I lay in this name-free lad's embrace. Was he weed-wrapped sage, transformed, made lithe and honey-skin glazed? Maybe he was that sea lord's lover, freed from shell. Tonight he is here. I wake, an end to dull sleep. And the last one to finish on, and I've got the right book. This is another Norse one to finish with, and it's called The Fish Herd's Words, and you'll be relieved to know it's quite short. The fish herd is Njord, or Njoth, the god of the deep ocean. My hall, my harbour, good helmsmen meet to feast. Cold Skadi scorned these creaking boards for skis. Frost-bitten and frozen, frigid Trimheim's motionless seas. Water flows, flames flicker. The dance is joy to me. Loki alone made her laugh. Lurid balls lighten the void. Gentle boulders beauty shook snow from her bow. Dancing feet delighted. Dire Thiazi's daughter hoped a salt-blasted sailor was not her dreaming. My twisting tides her taught ice towers. Salt melts ice, poor mix for marriage bed. Yet blizzard winds blow, bleak the seal's domain. 2 houses, 1 bed may still heat. Which, if you're wondering, there was a contest in which Thiazi's daughter, as compensation for the death of her father, had to choose a lover, and she wanted one of the more handsome gods, and she had to choose them by just seeing their feet, like one of those weird game shows where the screen goes up and she could only see their bare feet. And she chose the one with the nicest feet, who turned out to be the salty old Njorth, god of the ocean wave, and not glamorous Balder, whom she'd hoped for. So they spent their lifetime living apart, she in the frozen wastes, he at the seas, sporadically meeting. But that's the end of my section. Hopefully you enjoyed the poems, and we'll enjoy the next section.